I met a woman who was married 3 times and still had never consummated any of her marriages. And I asked her what happened. And she said her first husband was a sweet man, so excited about getting married that he had a heart attack after the reception. Her second husband and her got into a terrible fight on the way to the reception, and they haven't spoken since. And the third husband was a Democrat, and he just sat on the side of the bed every single night they were married, telling her how great it was going to be every night for 4 years. Welcome to A Gentleman's Review. I'm Art Hampton. I am your host. And so today I want to talk about Kamala Harris. Kamala Devi Harris was born in Oakland, California to an Indian American mother and a Jamaican American father. Her father was an economics professor in a post-Keynesian tradition. Both Harris's parents were active in the Berkeley-based Afro-American Association. Fidel Castro and Che Guevara were also the heroes of the Afro-American Association, despite Che's disdain for Afro-Americans. Interesting. That's irony. The group's leader, Donald Warden, aka Khalid al-Mansour, mentored 2 young Afro-American Association members, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale. They created the Maoist-inspired Black Panther Party, which served as the model for the creation of the Black Lives Matter Marxist organization. And Khalid also facilitated Obama to be accepted as a student to Harvard Law School. After college, Kamala went back to California, where she became the mistress of the 60-year-old married Speaker of the California Assembly, Willie Brown, whose campaigns were supported and funded by Dr. Carlton Goodlett, the owner of the Sun Reporter, and several other communist papers. Brown was elected as the mayor of San Francisco, who endorsed Harris, the Marxist political philosophy, and helped her get elected as the California's Attorney General. Willie Brown was elected to public office with substantial help from the Communist Party USA. I smell commies. Today, Brown is widely regarded as one of the Chinese Communist Party's best friends in the San Francisco Bay Area. Now, while serving as San Francisco District Attorney, Kamala mentored a young San Francisco radical Maoist activist, Lafayette Simon, who was a member of the Storm Revolutionary Movement. Simon currently chairs the Bay Area Rapid Transit Board, or BART. Simon's always been close friends with the founder of Black Lives Matter Marxist domestic terrorist Alicia Garza, as well as a Storm member. A vowed communist, Van Jones Harris has been openly and aggressively supporting Black Lives Matter Marxist. Kamala is still closely associated with the Maoist Lafayette Simon and Marxist Alicia Garza. Kamala's sister, Maya Harris, was a student activist at Stanford University. She was closely associated with Steve Phillips, one of the leading Marxist Leninists on campus, a longtime affiliate with the League of Revolutionary Struggle, a pro-Chinese communist group. I don't just smell commies. I think I'm swimming with them. Phillips came out of the left, and in college he studied Marx, Mao, and Lenin, all the great commies, and maintained close associations with fellow communist Phillips married into a multi-billion-dollar Sandler family of the Golden West savings and loan fortune. He funded many leftist political campaigns and the voter registration drives in the southern and southwestern states in order to help his friend Barack Hussein Obama to defeat Hillary in the primary. Phillips has been a major financial sponsor for Kamala Harris, her political campaigns for various California elected offices. Kamala's husband, Doug Emhoff, works for the law firm DLA Piper, which boasts, quote, nearly 30 years of experience in communist China with over 140 lawyers dedicated to its Communist China Investment Services branch, end quote. He was just appointed to be a professor at Yale to school future lawyers in the fine points of communism. When she was elected to the U.S. Senate, Kamala appointed a pro-communist Senate Chief of Staff, Jean-Pierre. Jean-Pierre was active with the New York-based Haiti Support Network. The organization worked closely with the pro-communist China / Communist North Korea Workers' World Party and supported Jean Bernard's, the far-left communist former president of Haiti, the radical leftist movement. Now, fortunately for Harris, but potentially disastrous for the Republic, yes, we are a republic, not a democracy, elected office holders are not subject to the security clearances. If the FBI did a background investigation on Kamala, she would never have passed because of her 40-year ties with Marxist, Communist, Maoist, and Communist Chinese. It's interesting, most of our legislators couldn't pass a background check or to get a security clearance, much less that. And that's been for several years now. But anyway, Kamala would never have been approved and accepted for any 5-year military service academics being appointed to the U.S. government sub-cabinet position, or would have been approved to fill a sensitive position for high security defense contractor. Yet, since Biden was elected, Harris could be a heartbeat away from being president. It seems that he's already halfway stepped down. So who knows? He's not. He's a president in name only. He's a puppet. Anyway, the U.S. constitutional republic is being threatened by the People's Republic of Communist China, the PPC, externally, and by their very active espionage operations with the United States. The People's Republic of Communist China, with 1.4 billion people, is governed by the 90 million member Communist Chinese Party that has been working with Russia to destroy the U.S. constitutional republic for over 70 years. If the American voter read this background information in Trevor Lawton's article on Kamala, they would never support her or try to elect her as vice president of the United States, much less president. Biden is, I think he's on his way out. He's declined tremendously, and he would never be able to, I think he's on his last leg right now. But since Biden was elected, the socialist, Marxist, and communists who control Kamala are planning to enact provisions of the 25th Amendment in order to remove Biden from office. Now that he's even more incapacitated, I don't think they need to do that. I think they're just going to wait it out because they're very patient people. But anyway, Harris is trying to be the first communist president of the United States. And since Biden was elected, Biden would not be up for it. So, she would fill all appropriate positions in the U.S. intelligence agencies, in the Department of Homeland Security, in the Department of Defense, in the Justice Department, the Department of State, the FBI, the CIA, most cabinet positions, the National Security Council, and in the White House staff with communists. I don't just smell commies, I'm swimming with them. American voters must be on the alert. Their fellow Americans that Kamala is a very serious national security threat to the very survival of the U.S. constitutional republic. She's been a fellow traveler of Marxists, communists, Maoists, socialists, progressive, and Chinese communists for over 35 years. President Trump had much more background on Kamala Harris than we presented here, and he was correct when he accused Kamala of being a communist subverter. On a side note, continuing on, Harris said that Roe v. Wade did not go far enough. You want to talk about being pro-death? That is the epitome of death. She also said and supported mandatory gun buybacks and supported the new Green Deal to fight climate change and ban fracking. She is as left as it gets. And as borders are, personally, I expected Harris to do nothing. I was wrong. Sadly, I was wrong. In 21, Harris started the Partnership of Central America, PCA. That's not Presbyterian Church in America. That's the Partnership of Central America. The Partnership of Central America, which has been touted as a public-private partnership working with businesses and social enterprises to make new significant comments to address the root causes of migration. So they're trying to find the root cause of the immigration problem, not secure the border. Sounds like what government organizations do all the time. We're going to meet. We're meeting to discuss a solution. They always discuss the solution and never get around to the solution. Anyway, Kamala failed to disclose her relationship to Sir Nigel Knowles. Her husband, Douglas Emhoff, his former boss at DLA Piper PLC of London, UK. Sir Nigel is a co-director of SGO Smartmatic with Lord George Mark Molek Brown, who controls Nevada, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, and Wisconsin voting machines from Dominion, Smartmatic, ES&S, and Sequoia, Premier Diebold, and Optech machines, responsible for the 2020 voting fraud. I smell commies. Anyway, and surprisingly, Bloomberg is reporting that Harris's lawyer husband, Doug Emhoff, faces election quandary as vice president's spouse. In 2014, Smartmatic CEO Antonio Mugita and British Lord Mark Molek Brown announced the launching of the SGO Corporate Limited, a holding company based in London whose primary asset is the election technology and voting machine manufacturer. Molek Brown became the chairman of the board of directors of SGO since its foundation, and Antonio remains as CEO of the new venture. They were joined on SGO's board by Sir Nigel Knowles, global CEO of DLA Piper, and Douglas Emhoff's former boss, before his wife was named as Democratic candidate for president of the United States. Imikoff has since left his job as partner of DLA Piper. Nigel Knowles did not take his father's name. He took his mother's. His father was connected to Cecil Rhodes, Ruskin, and others who were early commies. If you don't smell commies by now, I don't know. You probably got COVID. Take you some ivermectin and get over it. SGO's Smartmatic that controls all election systems, including Dominion, worldwide, of various company names: Smartmatic, Hart, InterCivic, Sequoia, Diebold, ES&S, all have common OpTech software. They're using the same software. It's kind of like the difference between Dell and Alienware, or Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, or GNC and Chevrolet. But SGO is the largest elections tech firm. The aim of SGO, according to its CEO, was to continue to make investments in its core business of election technology, as well as rolling out a new series of ventures, which should, as well as rolling out, but it should make us very weary. Those ventures include biometrics, online identity verification, internet voting, and citizen participation, e-governance, and pollution control. As an aside, Peter Comey, the brother of the former FBI director James Comey, as the senior director of real estate operations for the law firm DLA Piper. Birds of a feather flock together, and I smell commies. So here's a timeline of Sir Nigel Graham Knowles, as well as his family tree. Let's touch on that for a second. Knowles appears to be the king of K Street, the home of lobbyists and non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, in D.C. He is the lead trustee of Prince's Trust, the United Kingdom's-based charity founded in 1976 by King Charles III to help vulnerable young people get their lives on track. It supports 11 to 30-year-olds who are unemployed or struggling at school and at risk of exclusion. DLA Piper is the most likely and primary law firm for the British Crown. The Prince's Trust. In 1990, Knowles founded the Prince's Trust International at the Knights of Malta. They are incorporated in the United States as Prince's Trust America. Another British connection is that the fact that Kamila's father was a Jamaican citizen, and Jamaica was also a British holding. Jamaica was granted independence in 1962. Major donors to Prince's Trust are BAE Systems, BlackRock, Garfield Weston Foundation, Marks and Spencer Group, and NatWest. So here is a list of Prince's Trust patrons, which include Barclays Bank, Dell, Apple, Google, Accenture, J.P. Morgan, Chase, Morgan Stanley, Marriott, Boeing, Bloomberg, AT&T, Amazon, American Airlines, DLA Piper, Facebook, HP, NBC, Qualcomm, Oracle, Rolls-Royce, TikTok, and WorldPay. Basically, it appears that through Kamala may be taking orders from the deep state. I don't think there's a maybe about it. Maybe. That's like when you see a guy commit a crime and then the lawyers want to go, allegedly. Maybe. No, she is. The Prince's Trust of Great Britain is who is pulling her strings, it seems. But let's go on to the Pilgrim Society. They operate from a London office of the Privy Council, whose name include the English-speaking Society, Royal Overseas League, Atlantic Council, Club of Rome, Bilderberg. We talked extensively about Bilderberg last time, about J.D. Vance. Davos, World Economic Forum. The Great Reset. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. The Trilateral Commission, the Aspen Institute, United Nations, and the Council on Foreign Relations among them. Knowles is also a member of the British Pilgrim Society and apparent handler for Biden and Harris. The society was founded in July 1901, allegedly to bring peace and harmony between America and Great Britain. However, there definitely seems to be ulterior motives behind the society when one examines former members such as Allen and John Foster Dulles, Alexander Haig, John D. and David Rockefeller, Henry Kissinger, General George Marshall, King Charles III, and I could go on and on and on. Sir Nigel directed companies include DLA Piper, Smartmatic, Princess American Trust, DLA Piper Wellcome Trust. And so the Pilgrims of Great Britain and the Pilgrims of the United States have reciprocal membership. These two groups are the two oldest and most prestigious Anglo-American organizations, both sides of the Atlantic. Britain controlled India from 1757 through the East India Company, which was initially created in 1600 to serve as a trading body for English merchants, specifically to participate in the East India spice trade. It was later added items such as cotton, silk, tea, and opium. From 1958 onward, the British government directly ruled India, and it became known as the British Raj. It had a negative impact on the people living in India, and many suffered from extreme poverty and famines during British rule. The government, as well as British individuals, gained a lot of wealth from the trade in India, which they used in part to fund the Industrial Revolution. India gained independence from Britain on August 15, 1947, after decades of nonviolent resistance led by Gandhi, and the Indian Independence Act of 1947 created two independent nations, India and Pakistan, ending 200 years of British rule. Now, DLA Piper has international trade and customs in India. This is important because we have two natives of India in both parties campaigning for Kamala and Ursa Vance, the wife of J.D. Vance. I guess if you stack the deck, it doesn't matter who gets elected. And that's not to mention the two other South Asian Republican candidates who vowed for the top slot, Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy, and the latter a first cousin of Ursa Vance. Sounds like we're going back to Great Britain. All the royals are connected, related in some way, shape, or form. Guess we're doing that here. Anyway, J.D. Vance's wife, Ursa, is also a member of the Pilgrim Society. Ursa has worked for law firms associated with the Clinton Foundation and Bill and Hillary, and she was at Cambridge University as a scholar of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now, Bill, in 2005, was knighted members of the British Pilgrim Society, who funded with Britain's Pirbright Institute, who is testing new coronavirus vaccines on animals to help combat COVID-19. Ursa was on the board of directors of the Gates Cambridge and Bill Gates Enterprise. The Pirbright Institute is a national center that works to contain, control, and eliminate viral diseases of animals through its fundamental and applied research programs. J.D. and Ursa both worked at Sydney Alston Law Firm, a law firm that employed the Obamas and others of their standing. Ursa received both a BA and JD from Yale, a classical CIA grooming place notoriously controlled by secret societies such as Skull and Bones, which H.W. Bush and W. Bush was members of. And I think the Hines guy who married into the Hines fortune that ran for president a few years back against Bush. I forgot his name. Anyway, I digress. It was a business associate and Bilderberg globalist elite, Peter Thiel, who introduced JD to Trump. The Pilgrim Society strikes again some 40 to 50 years later. Phyllis Schlafly wrote that every vice president is chosen by the Bilderbergers. So the British connection that Kamala and Ursa Vance both have South Asian heritage. The bigger interconnection, however, is Great Britain, the Pilgrim Society, and the Prince's Trust, which all pieces this stuff together. This gives us a clearer picture of the breadth and complexity of the transatlantic thought from the 19th and 20th centuries to present day. Behind the scenes of stealth of the British Crown and her hierarchical organizations have wormed their way into America's governmental administrations with their utopian hopes of once again controlling the colonies. But I think Kamala is openly, almost openly a communist. But J.D. Vance and his wife are more subtly. So I guess we can take our pick. Communism or communism light. God help the Republic. Thanks again. Like, share, and subscribe. And y'all have a good evening.